Hello students, myself Popere KS, Assistant Professor Botany of Rare Shikshan Sanstha's RBNB College, Sri Rampur. In this lecture, we are going to study the paper 2nd BO33 of TYBSc Botany. So in this lecture, we will study the cell biology part of paper 2nd. So we will discuss the term related to cell biology, cell, about the history of cell biology and unit of measurement of cell. So let us first start with cell biology. So what is cell biology? It is a branch of science which deals with study of various aspects of the cell like morphology, cytology, then physiology, then genetics, development, all the aspect which is related to the cell. So study of that aspects is called as cell biology. So this will be so these are the different aspects to which the cell biology deal, that is the physiological, morphological, cytological, genetical, developmental. So this is the cell biology. Now next term is cell. What is cell? So cell is the smallest unit of any living organism. It may be animal or in plant. So the smallest unit of an organism is cell. Now what is cell? Cell is the structural and functional unit of life. So it is a structural and functional unit of life. Now we will study the history related to cell biology, the different work or the contribution which had made by the different scientists. So to the discovery of a cell, the discovery of the lens or the microscope is associated, because for studying the cell is a very minute structure. So for its study, the discovery of the microscope or the lenses, it is also associated to the discovery of a cell. So the first scientists which have used lenses for the study of the microscope is So in 1845, the first scientist, that is De Vinci, he has used lens, that is a simple lens for studying the small object. So, and firstly, the first thing which were observed under the simple lenses were the insect. So he was the first who has used lenses for studying the small object. Later on, the next scientist, that is Galileo, he has used a simple microscope, that is in 1910. The scientist Galileo, he has used a simple microscope for studying the different microorganism or the object. So firstly, Da Vinci, he used the simple lenses, then the Galileo, he used the simple microscope. Later on, first microscope. So after this, there were the discovery of the first compound microscope, and it was used by Robert Hooke. So this was the first scientist, that is Robert Hooke, who was credited for studying he has carried his study on a compound microscope. So he has used compound microscope to study the structure of a cork. So he has used cork. So what is cork? Cork is a dead bark of a plant. So what he have observed under the compound microscope, in the cork, when he has taken a cork under the compound microscope, he has seen a small compartment within that cork, and he named that small compartment as cells. So the small compartment which will see under the compound microscope, it was named as cell. Now later on, Anton von Leeuwenhoek in So Anton von Leeuwenhoek, he was the next scientist. He has carried out, he has used the improved microscope. He has used the that is the lenses of different magnification powers to study the different object under the compound microscope. So he has used a unicellular organism or the single cell organism for studying and carried out the microscopic study. So first he has used like bacteria, then protozoa, then other organisms. He has also used RBCs, and he has observed this object under the microscope, and he has found he has found something in the cell. So that at that time it was not known, but later on it was found that there are different organelles which are present inside the cell. So now, and he described free cells and observed some organization within the cell. So he described the cell and there is some organization, but he can't tell at that time that these are the organelles. Later on it was found that something which is seen inside the cell, that are called as organelles. Now later on in the cell, the cell division, it was explained by the next scientist, that is So H. von Moll, he has given the idea about the cell division, that cell division occurs in cell. Now later on, Felix Dujardin, he was the next scientist. What he has given about there are something within the cell, there is fluid like something substance present in the cell, or he has also said that it is a jelly like substance which is present inside the cell, and he has named it as sarcode. So this scientist has given that there is something fluid-like or jelly-like substance present within the cell, and he has named that thing as sarcode. Later on, after the different tests were taken, or different in regarding the microscope. Later on, there was a scientist, that is Sheldon and Swan. So Swan, he was a German zoologist, and he concluded that the animals are composed of cell. And lastly, Sheldon, he was a German botanist, and he concluded that plants are made up of a cell. So Sheldon, he has given that plants are made up of a cell, and Swan, he has given that the animals are made up of a cell. So later on, this Sheldon and Swan, they has proposed a cell theory. Now we will see the cell theory. So Sheldon and so on, they has given the cell theory. Now what are the cell theory? So it has a different point, or it gives the information that is regarding the cell. So first is all the organism, they are made up of cell. So all the living organism, maybe plant or animal, they are all made up of a cell. Now next point is, that is cell, it arises from the pre-existing cells. Now next point is the So these are the 3 points, that all organisms are made up of a cell, and next is cell arise from the pre-existing cell, and the third is cell is the structural and functional unit of life. So these were the old theory which were given by the Sheldon and so on. Later on there were 3 more points which were added to the Sheldon and Swan theory, that is it is called as the, so these are the So these are the 3 tenets which were given in the old, that is cell theory. Now later on So 3 more tenets were added to this old theory. So 3 points were added. So first is cell theory carry out metabolism and the related biochemical functions. So earlier it was thought that they are made up of, the organism are made up of a cell, and cell arise from the pre-existing cell. Later on cell is the structural and functional unit of life. But later on there were found that the cell is not related to this 3 point only. Cell also, they also contribute to the different biochemical reactions and the metabolism which is taking place in the cell. Now cell also contain an DNA and the RNA, that is the genetic material or the heredity material, and total activity of an organism is equal to total activity of a cell. So these are the first 3 points. Now later on 3 more points are added, that is So these 3 are the cell carry out the various biochemical reaction, or the different or it is involved in the metabolism of a cell. Now one more point is that so cell also contain the genetic material or DNA, RNA, or we can say the heredity material which will be transferred from that parents to offspring. And one more is that The total activity of an organism is equal to the total activity of a cell. So these are the, so for earlier 3 tenets were given, that is in the old cell theory. Now later on 3 more points were added, that is the new modern cell theory. So these are the 3 tenets. So total 6 tenets are there in the cell theory. Now we will discuss one more point, that is the unit and measurement of a cell. So cell is a very microscopic object, or we can say an So this cell, it is a very minute structure. It can't be seen by a naked eye. So we use different lenses, microscope for their study. So for the measurement of a cell, there are different units. So these units are, first is micron, that is equal to So 1 micron, that is equal to 10 raised to power 6 meter, and one more unit is used, that is So this 1 nanometer, these are the 2 units, that is micron and nanometer. These are used for the studying, or these are the unit for the cell. So 1 micron, it is equal to 10 raised to power 6 meter, and 1 nanometer is equal to 10 raised to power 9 meter. So these are the 2 units which are carried out for studying the cell. So this is about the cell theory and the different history related to the cell, and what are the different 6 tenets for the cell theory, and these are the 2 units which are used for studying the cell. Thank you.